All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining our today's session on the next steps for all spring 2026 admitted students. Presented to you by the Office of International Admissions. My name is Rita Parker, and I'm the Associate Director of International Admissions here at the University of South Florida. On behalf of the entire admissions team, I would like to take a moment and congratulate you on being accepted to our institution. Now that you probably have gotten your admission decision, not just from USF, but potentially a few other schools, now it's the time for you to see which institution will best fit your needs. And I hope that USF will be that place for you, as it is a preferred destination for international students in the state of Florida. In today's session, I will be covering questions around USF and campus culture. We're also going to talk about tuition and scholarships, breaking down the costs of attendance and looking at ways how you can reduce it or subsidize it, as well as steps that you would need to take to confirm your attendance, should you choose to come and study with us next spring semester. All right, let's start with some brief refreshment on quick facts about University of South Florida. So we were founded back in 1956, and guess what? Next year we will be celebrating our 70th birthday. USF is a large public university with over 50,000 students. Of those, we have more than 5,000 international students representing over 138 different countries. USF has a large number of undergraduate majors and concentrations, definitely something for everyone. We're also known as a Tier 1 research institution and a member of the Elite Association of American Universities. What that means is it is a group of universities in North America, so both Canada and US, that comprises about 3% of Tier 1 research institutions, but also the group that produces over 67% of all government funding research. So being part of USF definitely will carry some reputation and give you a lot of value on your investment. In terms of our student life, we have plethora of clubs and organizations, as well as more than 1,000 of different events that take place on campus throughout the year. USF is not just one standalone campus. We operate as a university system. Our largest campus is in Tampa, and that's where the majority of our international students typically end up taking classes. The Tampa campus houses about 42,000 students with about 6,500 students living on campus. Tampa is home to our Global Student Center, home to our athletic teams, as well as our research facilities. Some of the popular majors here for students include business, engineering, biomedical sciences, AI and computer science, as well as architecture. Our St. Petersburg campus is known for its beautiful views. It is a waterfront campus where students can see the Tampa Bay outside their classroom. Around 4,000 students make this primary campus with about 900 students living on campus. Some programs that are unique for St. Pete campus include graphic arts, marine biology, and digital communication. And we have Sarasota Manatee, our smallest campus, with about 2,000 students, including 200 students living on campus. And the popular majors on that campus will include hospitality management and risk management. Talking about student life, I already mentioned we have hundreds of students' clubs and organizations, which means that you have so many different ways to get involved here at USF outside of your academics. And yes, you're primarily coming here to get your degree, and that is very important, but it is also important to get to know one another and to build connections that are going to last you a lifetime. So when we talk about student clubs and orgs, they range from academic and professional to cultural and special interest groups. And just to name a few more popular ones, we have Society for Professional Engineers, American Marketing Association, Rocket Engineering Club. We also have Center for Civic Leadership and Student Engagement, and so much more. But if in all that plethora of clubs and organizations you don't seem to find a space, you can always start your own club. All you have to do is have 4 active members. All right. In terms of fitness and recreational facilities, we have several of those recreational facilities on all 3 of our campuses. Bull Market is a fun event that takes place specifically on the Tampa campus every Wednesday, and this is an opportunity for you to meet and learn more about different student organizations as well as different companies in the larger Tampa Bay community. USF Athletics, I spoke about this a little bit, but if you don't know, USF is a NCAA Division I school, and we have 17 Division I sport teams. All students at USF get free access to all home games. The Week of Welcome is another fun event. It's also known as the WOW, and it takes place as a kickoff to the new semester. So when you come to us in spring, you will be part of the WOW, the Week of Welcome, that hosts a series of events for new and returning students to connect. So it's definitely a lot of fun. Now, a little bit about the Global Student Center. This is sort of a home away from home for our international students. It is a dedicated space to connect, study, and host events. You will see in the photos here, photos are from the opening ceremony that took place last fall. You will see the president-in-law and Rocky making the appearance, as well as the president, our student government president, who, by the way, is an international student himself, also gave a speech and welcomed international students. At the Global Student Center is where you will find my team, our international admissions team, as well as international student support and study abroad services. Now, if we step outside the classroom, and I know we have somebody who already lives in Tampa on a call here, I think you would agree with me that we are more than just a university. When you come to study at USF, you definitely come to a destination. We call ourselves a destination university. We live where people vacation. There is in the Tampa Bay area, there is 3 particular downtown areas with vibrant nightlife, with a lot of cultural events, with multiple dining options, international markets included. We also located only 2 miles, so our Tampa campus is only 2 miles away from the famous Busch Gardens, which is an animal-themed amusement park with roller coaster rides, and students can get free ride to Busch Gardens from our campus on the Bull Runner. City Pass is a great way for you to get discounted tickets to all the popular attractions in Tampa. And of course, you can enjoy the best beaches in the United States. We're fortunate enough to live in the beautiful Gulf Coast. Our Siesta Key Beach, the closest to Sarasota campus, is voted as #1 best beach in the entire United States. And Clearwater Beach is ranked #6 in the nation. Now, let's pivot a little bit towards maybe less exciting information, but nonetheless very important information. And we're going to talk about estimated cost of attendance. I want you to take a moment to take a look at the total costs. And this is what you would need to show for your I-20. So those of you that would be coming to USF on the F1 visa would need to get the I-20, and that would be the requirement for you to demonstrate available funds. This is not the funds that you would be paying to the university, okay? Only some of those fees would be applicable for you to pay to USF. So when we look at tuition and fees that are set at $18,400, those are based on 1 year. So 1 year is counted as 2 semesters at 15 credit hours. For international students, it's important that you study with us full time. That means that each semester you have to take minimum 12 credit hours. The majority of students will, however, will take a little bit more. So most likely we see 15, 16 credit hours up to 18 credit hours, depending on your comfort zone and how much you think you can handle during the semester. But that is to say, your tuition rate is going to depend on how many credit hours you enroll each semester. I also would like to mention that the tuition that is shown here would not be due upfront. USF charges by semester, so you will pay half of it in spring and another half of that in fall. When it comes to housing and meals, there is no mandatory live-on requirement for freshmen. So you can opt to live on campus or you can find something close by. The rates for resident halls also differs, as well as meal plans. So you have some flexibility, and this is more of the higher end estimate of what living on campus plus having a full-on meal plan option would look like. With books, your costs for books will really depend whether you would be purchasing them new, used, or will be using a rental that you will give back at the end of the semester. One fee that is required for international students coming to study on the F1 visa is health insurance. So USF has very strict policy in terms of health insurance and the requirements that an insurance plan has to meet. The one that we offer to our students by default is very comprehensive. However, you can submit an alternative insurance plan. We just need to make sure that it does meet the university criteria. And some of the other expenses mentioned here are more of your personal expenses that you can expect to incur throughout the year. So again, not all of the fees are going to be payable to the university, and your tuition fees really will depend on the number of credit hours that you take. Now, let's talk about scholarships. For those students that will be starting with us in spring, we do not have scholarships from admissions office. However, what are some of the options for you guys? I would really recommend that you do some research and look into the departmental scholarship depending on the program you have been admitted to. So my team has put in some links for you to kind of access those scholarship information pages for our more popular colleges like College of Arts and Sciences, Engineering, Business, and Judy Genchef Honors College. Remember that some of these colleges will have an application for the scholarship with a deadline. And typically, you would need to be committed to USF and have your admissions deposit paid before you can start applying for these scholarships. Something to keep in mind that as international students, you may not be eligible for all of the scholarships that they offer, but you can definitely be eligible for some of them. And what I have seen happen is students may qualify for 2 or 3 scholarships at a time, so they actually able to stack their amounts and collect those amounts within the same semester. Some other ways to subsidize your studies or paying for your studies is getting a job on campus. So this is a popular choice for a lot of our international students. If you're studying with us here on an F1 visa, you would be allowed to work on campus for up to 20 hours per week. And some of the more popular jobs for international students will include jobs in hospitality and dining. At USF, we have 3 dining facilities and over 30 different restaurants just on the Tampa campus alone. Our international students also find jobs at resident halls, and the perk there is typically you also get to live on campus for free if you work as a resident assistant. You can work at the rec center, tutoring center, or within USF World offices. So for instance, my team in international admissions, we hire international students to help our efforts in recruiting more international students. And so does our international services team. Now, let's talk briefly about steps to confirm your attendance. I've seen you mention that most of you have already committed, so you know you would be coming to USF. Well, The official step to make that confirmation is to submit your application, your admissions deposit. You do so through your applicant portal. So I assume that most of you have already completed that step, but if you're still undecided, this is what you would need to do. The admissions deposit is only $200, but it is non-refundable. The way it's processed, it gets put on your account, so you can use it as credit, and then use it for purchases once you're already on campus. We do recommend that you pay your deposit early so that it will allow you to work on other enrollment steps that you should be completing prior to starting with us. Now, where do you find all the other steps that you expected to complete before you enroll and start your studies at USF? That is my Bulls Path portal. So my Bulls Path portal is going to have the tiles of all the different tasks that you need to take care of prior to the next semester. Those tasks will range. Some of them are mandatory. You will see them in dark green. So those you would need to start working on those first, and then they will unlock other steps. So what do these steps entail? You would need to complete your emergency information, preference on housing and meals, signing up for orientation, as well as submitting your final official transcript. So in terms of final transcripts, this is the last piece that you would need to do with the Office of Admissions. What I want to point out is in order for us to accept your transcripts as official, they have to come directly from the issuing institution, be it your high school, or if you're transferring from another school or university, will have to come directly from that university, right? So if you are in possession of your final transcript and you're the one sending them to us, we will not count that as official. You would need to ask somebody from your institution to either email it to us, and the email is internationaltranscripts@usf.edu, or put it in a sealed envelope for you, and you can bring it in person before the first week of classes. Okay, if you open that envelope, again, this will not be counted as official. One of the reasons I want you to be submitting those documents to us sooner is if you have any exam results or anything that will qualify for credit award. So if you're expecting to get credit awarded based on, say, dual enrollment or AP or IB curriculum, you want to do this early enough so that we can process your documents and your advisor is going to see that in DegreeWorks and can place you in a higher level course. Now, in terms of your I-20, for those of you that need to get the I-20, the Office of International Services has probably already reached out to you with the requirements that of what documents you would need to submit, both financial and immigration documents, in order for them to generate that I-20 form for you. They operate through the platform that's called iStart. So all questions around getting your I-20, submitting financial documents should be asked through that platform, right? So they have an option for you to send messages, or you can send an email at globalstart@usf.edu. Last but not least, I want to make brief introduction to our amazing and awesome international student support team. Here at USF, we're very fortunate to have a dedicated support team to work with international students like you and guide you from the time you made the decision to come to USF through your arrival stage, first week of orientation, and all the way through your graduation. So that team is run by Ms. Jenna Eveland, and she has two coordinators, Brian Gerke and Alex Eiler. And this team think of them as your navigators in the space of USF. We're a very big university. It may get very overwhelming for you to navigate things at the very beginning. So whether you have questions about housing, immunizations, insurance, arrivals, how to access USF systems, have questions about care, safety, so on. These are the folks that you want to remember names of, and these are the folks that are going to help you navigate all of these questions. In fact, Ms. Jenna Eveland will be hosting a session on housing, and this is one main announcement that I want to make for those of you that may be looking for on-campus housing for spring. Our spring availability for beds on the Tampa campus is very limited. The majority of bed spaces was taken up by students that started in the fall, but we will have a chunk of beds still available for our spring students. So if you don't want to miss a chance to get on the list for housing, you definitely want to remember that on September 9th, you need to log into the housing portal and start your housing application. You don't need to fill it out completely. You don't have to figure out which resident hall you want to live in just yet. You just want to complete your housing application and be put on the list for assignment. Okay. Ms. Jenna is going to host a session the day before on September 8th. This QR code is a link to register for that session. So if you can make it, I highly recommend you attend it. She will be talking more about benefits of living on campus as well as steps for you to complete your housing application. All right. And the very least, I know that there's probably going to be more questions that we can cover in this short session. So that you know how to get a hold of us, there are three main teams here at USF that support your arrival. So the Office of International Admissions can be reached, so my team can be reached at international@usf.edu. If you have questions about costs, ways to find scholarships, um, any questions about your submitting your final transcript, you can schedule a meeting with one of our advisors, and we will try to walk you through this. For any questions related to your immigration documents and I-20, you want to contact the Office of International Services. And lastly, if you're at a place where, Ms. Parker, you just gave me too much information and I still don't know where to start, the International Student Support, Ms. Jana, Ms. Brian, or Alex, they're here to help you navigate that process from the very beginning. So newinternational@usf.edu is the best way to get a hold of them.